In my presentation, I want to tell you about the indigenous people of Sakhalin. I lived the first 7 years from 10 to 17. This is a very interesting people which mostly no one has seen, but we were told about them in local history classes. They are an amazing people, indigenous people of Sakhalin. As for the peoples who lived here, we shall immediately distinguish two main groups, the Nifhi and the Ani. Nifhi are the indigenous inhabitants of Sakhalin, which is the most ancient and numerous. Most of all, they cross the tributary of lower reaches on the Amur River. Later, it was inhabited by Orki, Nanaitse, and Evenki. However, the bulk of the Nifhis were still located in the northern part of the island. These people were engaged in hunting, fishing, as well as fishing for sea lions and seals. Evenki and Orki were mainly engaged in reindeer husbandry, which forced them to lead a nomadic lifestyle. For them, the deer was not only food and clothing, but also on transport animal. They were also actively engaged in sea animal fishing and fishing. Life and costumes of indigenous people. Sakhalin Nifhi are an ethnic group that has lived in the lower reaches of the Amur River since ancient times. These are a single people with a distinct national culture. People settling in small groups, choosing the most convenient place from a geographical point of view. They located their homes near places where fish and animals were caught. The main activities were focused on hunting, collecting berries and herbs, and fishing. Sea bass fishing was also popular. Life condition. The life and costumes of the indigenous inhabitants of Sakhalin will begin to be considered with the tool that they used for fishing. There was semelos raised in the scenes. Each family was very large and patricial. The full family lived together. The economy was also shared, and members of the family called that the obtained products of fishing. Parents lived in the house with their sons and their families. If someone did, then the families, so brothers and sisters lived together. Attention was also paid to orphans and elderly members of the family. There were also individual families, small ones, or who did not want to live with their parents, or average 6-12 people lived in a dwelling depending on various factors. However, their cakes were worn up to 12 people could live in one winter house at the same times. Clothes. The indigenous inhabitants of Sakhalin distributed to cruising terrain had special things. Women wore large earrings that were made of copper and silverware. They were shopping like a combination of ring and spiral. Women wore robes, greaves, and armbands. The robe was made like a kimono. Religion. What about religion? The beliefs on the Nifhis were based on animism and the cult of crafts. They believed that everything had its own spirit: the earth, water, sky, taiga. Interestingly, bear were expertly revered, as that were considered the sons of the owners of the taiga. That is why hunting there has always been accompanied by cult events. In winter, the bear festival was celebrated. To do this, they coated the animal feet and wrists it for several years. During the holiday, he was dressed up in special clothes and taken to homes where his face feed from human dishes. Then the bear was shot with a bow, sacrificing it. Food was placed near in heat of killed animal as if treating it. Aini, the second large group of indigenous inhabitants of the Sakhalin coast, or Aini, who are also called Kurils. Two subgroups. Note that the Aini, the indigenous inhabitants of Sakhalin, are divided into two small subgroups, North Sakhalin and South Sakhalin. The former make up only 5 of all purported these people, which were discovered in 1926 during the census. The South Sakhalin Aini were evacuated by Japanese after World War to the territory of Sakhalin. They lived in separate small groups that still remains resettlement. The indigenous inhabitants of Sakhalin Island under the terms of the Treaty of 1875 were to pass into the power of Japan. However, after 2 years, less than 100 representatives of the Aini arrived in Russia in order to remote under his command the districts not to move, and the commander listened to the Russian government suggests but stay in Kamchatka. Last data, currently most of these people left Sakhalin, but many of its representations do not recognize themselves as Aini. Perforce because of the fear repeating the horrors of the Soviet period. It is now that in 22 census, not a single person presents himself as a representative in the nation. At loud, we understand that they did out only on paper.